Welcome to the Wealth and Wellness Podcast. My name is Diego. You're at the podcast where we dive deep into the intersection of health and wellness, legacy building, family, fitness, and all the things in between. My name is Diego, and I'm a huge proponent for all of these wonderful things that we're going to talk about. And every week I have a guest on the show. And this particular guest that I have on today, his name is Nic Tjader. He lives in the Shire. And I am excited for you to be here, man.
I'm excited too.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time and sitting down with me, man. You and I met through a mutual friend, Steve Moloff.
Yep.
Who I've known for like 10 years now.
Really?
Steve was on the show and we talked a lot about, family and business and, how to be an entrepreneur and a father at the same time. It's been like a wonderful relationship. And through that relationship, I had a chance to meet you.
Yeah.
Not that long ago. I want to say maybe about
6
a year
months,
ago.
a year?
Something like that.
It's flown by.
And then, we came out to help you out on a project at your house.
By the way, it's looking awesome.
You were on the tail end of like a monster job though. I remember there being a big construction job, family dynamics.
Yep.
And you raise a couple of kids, stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
And you're like doing it, man. I'd love to know, and I know the audience would love to hear, who you are and, where you came from and, how being a father in today's world is treating you and the family.
Well, thank you. I'm born and raised in California, Bay Area. I'm still here. Thank God. Grew up in Los Altos, Mountain View area, went to school in Santa Barbara. So never left. Sometimes I wish I did, but I stayed. So it's awesome. And what else about me? Love the outdoors. Grew up snowboarding. We've talked about snowboarding and skiing in Tahoe. That's my happy place up there. Other spot is Big Sur. Love camping. So I think you and I talked a bunch about that.
Sure have.
And I have lived in San Mateo for 10 plus years at this point. 2 boys. No dogs yet.
How old are they?
8 and 5.
Oh, okay.
Both in July birthday, so they're about to be 9 and 6.
How far apart?
How far? 10 days.
Cool.
So the 14th and the 20th. So July's nuts. July's bonkers. Like, we're going through that like 2 birthday phase or 1 birthday phase.
Yeah.
We've tried them both styles, and it's worked out. It's fun.
Cool.
So that's amazing. What else have I done? Well, I grew up I'm in I'm a techie. So I've done a lot of work worked at a lot of startups over the years, mainly doing like client service, account management with helping customers install software, typically like B2B customers, and figured out that working at huge, massive corporations is really not my thing. So and figuring out the next phase of what I want to do with the next half. You know what I'm saying?
You seem very different than the average corporate, employee. You're so grounded. At least since I've known you, we've talked so much about the forest and the ocean and nature. I think that's where you and I like really connected.
Yeah.
So you're in this corporate world. Like why did you decide on just saying, screw you, I'm not going to do this anymore? Was there like a moment, something happened at work?
Well, I wasn't, I started managing people, and that was like, not me. It's kind of like babysitting, right? And the whole, performance reviews and all the bureaucracy of like, got to check this box, got to do this meeting, got to do that. And it felt just like a world of meetings, I guess. And you're just sitting in a room, having your 4th meeting of the day. It's like, this is kind of, it's kind of not fulfilling, not fun. So I think my ADD kicked in, and I'm interested in a lot more than that. Right. And so I'm like standing in my backyard, staring at a tree, staring at a bush, like what could be different? Like maybe I'll look into this, like get excited about, I love camping, love being outdoors. Like, having kids, I think changed it too.
Yeah.
I'm sure for you too. Like,
100%.
When you have your kids, it's just your life has to change.
They tell you your life's going to change.
Yeah.
They're like, you're going to be completely different. So you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And
you're like, I don't believe it.
And then it's like well above and beyond anything that they ever, like your expectations were just probably totally.
Yeah, totally. And like the next day you go into work and you're like, after your kids and you're like, well, this is kind of lame. Like I should probably be doing something else. Like I probably want to be with my kids right now or do something that feels fun and exciting. So anyway, so long story short, I still love tech. I love all that stuff. So I think I'm like this hybrid of I read tech news every day. I'm into, AI's amazing. Mm-hmm. So I've got this like tech AI bent of my personality, like keeping up on the latest, greatest there. And then like, get me the hell outside. I want to go on a road trip. I want to go skiing. I want to go hiking.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
that's amazing.
Mishmash.
Yeah. I think a lot of people here in the Bay Area have that same mishmash. And, the last few guests that I've had also had that kind of same epiphany where there was a moment in their life or in their lives and they were like, something is calling. There's more to this.
Right.
And it's generally inspired by nature or music or art.
Right.
And that I think is such a beautiful moment in a young adult's life where you're raising a family and then all of a sudden you get this calling, like there's more to life than just freaking going to the cubicle and working 9 to 5 and, wasting your life away. But you took action and you went right at the family and wanting to be there for the kids, which I think is wonderful. Something that I also admire too, you're a banana slug. You went to Santa Cruz University?
I went to Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara, okay.
Still is far better than Santa Cruz, in my opinion. We were the Gauchos.
The Gauchos,
do you know
right.
Do you know what a Gaucho is?
It's an Argentinian cowboy.
That's right. We bonded over this. You went to City College.
Yep. I went to City College. And then I dropped out like 2 years in because the beach was just way nice. Yeah, and so was the weather. And like I had that same calling. Like I'd rather just be in nature, which I've always been in from like a young age. My parents always took us out. I don't know if your parents did this, but my parents always took us out. We went camping. We went to Crater Lake all the way down the Redwood Belt to San Diego, like on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
So my parents were really like, they didn't buy us stuff, but they took us on trips and they gave us experiences, which, looking back now, I'm just so grateful because I've done that with my son and the family. Like that's really our happy place, going to the mountains or going to the beach or going to nature. What about you and your favorite place? I think Steve was telling me like Big Sur is like your stomping grounds.
Well, before that, I appreciate what you said because I totally align with it. Experiences, right?
Yeah.
And it's cliche and it's like, hey, like live for the moment, like put your money into experiences. And I think over the years as I've gotten older, what have you, in family, like that's number one.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'll ask you, like, do you remember a new car you got 15 years ago? Or do you remember like a new gadget you got? Probably not. But what do you remember? Like going to top of some mountain with your family or like water skiing or something, right?
Yep.
And so that's why I think about that a lot. And, talking with you and Steve and all my buddies, it's as dads, it's like, get the kids outside. It could be a park, it could be anything, or just like get in the car and go on a mini adventure. And you got to fight with that, right? It's like, I want Legos and I want this thing and I want a phone but you gotta, that's like an eternal struggle.
It is. And it's such a chaotic struggle too. Steve, actually this last weekend, he's like, AI came up and robotics and all this stuff that's happening right now, which is like kind of cool. And then like kind of scary at the same time. He mentioned that I should watch a movie, a family animated movie, adult movie, The Mitchells versus the Machines. Have you seen this movie? So Katie and I watched it, and it was a story about a family that was kind of, having internal issues. They were not really always connecting, but they connected really well, like at a younger level when the kids were really young, and they would go out on, trips and it'd be awesome. And then the daughter, the eldest, was going to college, and she was, teenager going into 20s, and like, so there's this really cool like dynamic. And then it's like, oh my God, robots are taking over the world. And then this conflict like reconnected everybody throughout the movie, which I thought was really cool because I've experienced that in my family where technology and like the day to day, it's just so busy and so chaotic. The world is so full of chaos, but then sometimes there's something that happens that reconnects everybody, whether it's good or bad. And that, like, after watching that movie, I was just like, okay, like I got to call Steve and let him know that this is like such a cool, like and then I'm like going through old photos, and I'm like having this really cool moment. But something that I really admire about you, Nic, is like you put family first, and that is like just so important to me too. And I think a big reason why we've bonded. Growing up, did you think this was going to happen? Like, did you kind of design this, cause this shows a lot about like designing lifestyle and like creating, abundance for yourself. But sometimes we just fall upon things and it's serendipitous.
I think it was more serendipitous. I don't think it was premeditated per se. And that's an interesting thing too. It's like you go along life and you get in your rhythm, whatever that rhythm is, whatever part of life you're in. And then you kind of reassess. So no, I don't think I had like a vision. Honestly, I didn't. But I think it was just wisdom, years, life. You push me where I am today, and not good or bad. It just
just happens.
It just kind of happened. And I think it just goes back to that feeling of like, where do you want to put your time? Where do you want to put your mental energy? And I'm thinking about like, you have like units of like your mental capacity. You have like 100 units a day. Where are you gonna divide that? Is 50 going to go to your family? Is 40 going to go to your family? What's going to go to work? And like dicing that up is hard, but you can't have mental energy for everything. And so I thought, my thoughts are like really prioritize friends and family, and the rest will fall into place. I mean, it hasn't been easy, but
I don't think it can be easy for it to be good. Like I think generally great things are difficult to achieve or accomplish, which I guess is a good segue into your home remodeling project.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about construction on this show too. And like 9 out of 10 times I always hear these stories when I talk to a customer. Like there was always a contractor that came in and like for some reason they went bankrupt. They did poor work. They didn't show up, like all of these really, really nasty things. How did that whole process, can you tell us a little bit about that process and how long did it take and how did that affect the family?
Well, we did a pretty substantial home remodel. We had past tense, 2-bedroom, 2-bath home, probably like 1,400 square feet, bought it 10 plus years ago. Ended up, well, it was 2 bedrooms, so we just needed some more room. Frankly, we got 2 boys are running around, breaking things, bashing off walls. We, like, where are they going to sleep? So we're like, okay. And we kind of teased going out on the open market, like got a realtor, like started shopping and, had a budget, and then ultimately thought, I don't, you know better than me, but like there's that price per square foot if you build versus price per square foot if you buy. And it's always quote cheaper to build, air quotes. And ultimately just said, hey, look, we're going to redo our home. We're going to add a bedroom, a bathroom, a half bath, and a office. Yeah. So we went from a 2-2. We didn't end up adding that much square feet, so we went to a 3, 2.5. But then it was substantial because we ripped, went down to the studs on the inside. So it's basically like a brand new house, like brand new. The structure was mostly there, and we bumped that on the front of the property.
Was that like the intention going in, or did it like add on over time? Was it like, all right, let's do this plan, or it's like, let's kind of go here and then see where it takes us?
Well, we got a really cool architect firm named Studio Maven out of San Francisco, and it was kind of serendipitous how we got in touch with our now friend named Audrey. So she was incredible in helping us think through what we wanted.
Cool.
And we did a lot. So, I could tell quick stories of good and bad.
Yeah.
But the good part is we put legwork up front on looking at the property, looking at the existing home, and trying to figure out what makes sense to add the square feet or how to do it. She probably drew up 20 plus configurations of the home.
Oh, wow.
Rooms here, rooms there. We only added a couple hundred square feet total. But that process was all good. And ultimately landed on a design, and then, bid it out to contractors to get the work done. Would I do it again? No. I mean, it was like, I have like, tendencies to go deep on topics. And so I found myself
down the rabbit hole several times.
Yeah. Just like, I couldn't help it. And it's my personality. And so that was a struggle. That was good and bad. It's like, I learned every single Lutron light switch, and like,
you probably learned a lot about yourself too.
Yeah.
Along the way.
Yeah, I guess. Decision making.
Yeah.
Being, trying to make judgment calls.
Yeah. That's
the thing that I think that surprised me the most, is like, you kind of like know what you're getting into, but the contractor, well, you tell me, the contractor they want your business, at least the one that we use wants your business, right? Mm-hmm. But they don't want to scare the crap out of you before you sign.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be like, this is going to be an awful 2 years of your life. Like, here, sign here.
Most contractors are pretty rough around the edges and don't really take what I call a fiduciary level responsibility to the client. It's more like us versus them instead of a team, in my opinion.
Totally.
Unlike your realtor, who probably brought you under her wing and like was really thorough with you and broke down the steps and was looking at numbers and was on your side. Typically the contracting experience is like you're on the other side of the spectrum, and then they're the ones who are trying to organize this circus, behind the scenes
with subs and deliverables.
It's a lot. So the lessons learned, because I know a lot of people watching this are probably going through a project and they're like, this is my first one and I have no freaking idea what to do.
Yeah.
Like what were some big lessons that you learned along the way?
Well, first of all, kudos to you and your company and how you operate business. All right. I want to make that clear, because
thank you.
When we brought you in to do landscaping, it was a night and day sea change of like mentality, and like working with a, service provider like yourself. It was incredible. And the reason is, lessons learned, right? So expectation setting and trying to make sure, the biggest lesson learned is like vet your contractor. Like, and I don't know what that means to vet.
Like do your diligence.
Yeah. And I couldn't maybe like tell you how, or maybe word of mouth, ask friends,
check their work, walk their projects, meet their clients. That's what I would do.
I did some of that. We got referrals we got like referral phone calls. We'd call previous customers and have quick conversations. That was fine. I think the big thing is, you have ideas, but it's like a marriage. You're like marrying your contractor. Okay. And so you gotta be serious about it. And like, if you see any little red flag up front, it's like dating, right? You see any little red flag up front.
That's a really good point.
That's like that red flag's not going to magically go away. Like that's going to expand over your
unless you talk about it and you work through it, because stuff happens.
Tough.
It's construction. Yeah. I get it.
Talk to our friend Steve. Like I was his stress case for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I would just vent to him. Like what?
That's
what's going on here?
Good for you that you have, friends that are in that space.
Totally.
I think of the due diligence, like you said, you said vet your contractor. I immediately thought of due diligence.
Yeah.
Because
there's probably better ways to do it than I did.
Like it's going to require more than just going on Yelp to see if they've got 5 stars or even 4 stars. And then even just reading those reviews, I think that's where you start. But then you want to like date your contractor, start small, scale up. And I think you could date your contractor by going to walk their project and talking to them on like in their arena, like in their elements. And then ask questions, like not only about the work that they're doing, but like the process, like how do we get A to Z with you? Like, what do you do initially along the way? And what are these phases like? And just be really, really honest and clear. And, I think for me, first, like you said, expectations, I'm there with you too. Just anticipating something to happen, especially for a project like your size.
Right. Like a home remodel.
Yeah. Like a home remodel. It's just, especially on these older homes in our neighborhood, it's a can of worms, There's just so much in there that, you don't know. And, how can a contractor really price out the unknown? You don't. So you open stuff up with very clear, language in your contracts that say, hey, we're going to open this up and we might find stuff. And if we do, this is what we're going to do.
Right.
And I think that kind of hand-holding, or I shouldn't say hand-holding, stewardship is a better word.
Yeah.
Like I would like stewardship and guidance through a project. Hand-holding makes it seem almost like you're demeaning the client or the customer, or the contractor.
Like they're not smart.
Like they're not. Exactly. I think if we can level the playing field and be a little more empathetic and compassionate through a project and communicate effectively, then we're on to, I think a positive energy in the project. Cause I like to tell everybody, our job should be a source of energy, not a sink. Let's have some fucking fun.
Man, glad you said that.
Like and I'm sure your wife is probably like, what the freak? Like there's so much crap happening. Like,
we were both like just insanely stressed for 2 years.
And
it was communication. Like I think that communication, not gaslighting. So you take gaslighting over here. Don't do that. Like come way over here. Yeah. I like empathy, empathetic, just be human, be real. None of this fake. Like we just had this, like, it was just all, we've talked about this, like YouTube videos, the Instagram, contractor guys, 2 more days, 2 more days,
2 more days.
2 more days.
I like
what's that? 2 more days.
I think he's out of Colorado.
But anyway, would I do it again? Maybe I would do it with you, my friend, and I would put all my pennies together, and I would probably start from like scratch. Really?
Like scrape the lot?
Yeah. I mean,
it's actually,
I don't want to think about it. I don't know. I don't know how much we spent and how much we would have spent crushing it to, I almost like I would almost like want to pay for that then and have headaches go away over those 2 years, then like open up this rat's nest of an existing home. Yeah. So my thoughts go there, but I'm Debbie Downer here, but I love my home. It's beautiful. It's really our friend Steve filmed a video in our kitchen. He loves it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, we love it. We wake up every day. It's great. It all turned out, but I learned a ton. Yeah. I go into Home Depot now, man. I can spot stuff. I'm like, oh, that's, is that 3/4 inch drywall?
That's 3/4 inch hex.
Yeah. What do we need? What kind of stud is that? Let's talk about it. Romex? Yeah, I got Romex.
Something that you mentioned, I think your builder did, was price your project per square foot. And I think that's a mistake.
I don't know if they did that.
Okay.
I don't think they.
Because
I don't know.
When you buy a home,
I forget the contract. I forget
in commercial
it was
real
a big
estate,
number, right? It was like, and it was the invoice was like chunked out,
and then they break it down.
Framing.
That's
like electrical.
If you're having these conversations initially with a contractor who's doing a remodel on an older home and they're bidding it per square foot, I would be very hesitant to work with that contractor.
So what does that look like? They just come to you and say you're going to build 2,000 square feet, and it's just a big number, like a single number.
Yeah. So the standard contract scope of work will have, line items, demolition, and then you start with rough ins, and then you start with your trim, and then your cabinets and your uppers, and depending on the scope of work, of course, bathrooms, kitchens, like the whole thing's like what you did. Really hard to put a square foot price on it because you're opening stuff up and you don't know what's there. For new construction, totally price per square foot, in my opinion, because you're starting from scratch. what's there, because you're
like
going in.
A wall is going to be built from scratch.
Exactly.
It's
so
like you don't know
knocking down the house completely, scraping the lot.
Right.
You know exactly what's going in.
That's true. Probably. Yeah.
And even when you buy real estate, residential, commercial, there's always a, price per square foot number that you work with. But like for remodels, I'm hesitant to go in that direction because of the amount of unforeseeables.
Mm-hmm.
You're just kind of shooting in the dark at that point. And then guess what? There's going to be change orders. There's going to be addendas that come up. Yeah.
That was fun.
And those are probably the ones that are probably giving you anxiety right now. Like as you sit in that chair, like
breathe.
You got to center. You got to
breathe.
So job's done. It was hectic, and you guys are absolutely loving the space. It sounds like, which is, I think what a lot of people really should feel throughout the entire process is, that's a source of joy, and it's your home. That's, for me, the home is everything. Like that's where you rejuvenate. That's where you regenerate. That's where you have family. That's where you have good times. It's where you get away from the chaotic madness of the real world or the outer world or the exterior world. What's next now that you've got this home that you finished out? Like, do you guys have trips lined up? Like your family dynamic and your kids, are they just like, Dad, can we do this or can we do that? Like, I'm like really interested to know, post construction, cause you've been there now, like, what, like
it's been like 2 years since that thing finished.
Yeah.
We are, so what, I don't know, 2025 goals for the Tjaders would probably be, well, we're already lining up camping. Speaking of camping.
Cool.
So I got the boys walking around, like playing with their like Matchbox cars and Hot Wheels and building Legos. And they're like, we're going to go to New Brighton State Beach. And they're like playing where they're going to go camping. It's pretty cool. Nice. So we're going to do some of that. We're hitting up, let's see, we're going to go to Portola Redwood State Park, which is, you know where that is, right? Up over in the local area, which is pretty nice. And then we're going to try to go to New Brighton. We're doing a trip with my buddies Steve and Brian and Mike. I think we're going up near, where's the Anderson Valley Brewery? You know where that is?
Isn't that Boonville?
Yeah. I think we're going up there somewhere. Cool. So that'll be fun. And then
Jenner is amazing. I don't know if you've ever been up there.
Is that the one on the coast?
Yeah.
Is that on the water?
You go Boonville and you go westbound and you just go straight up into the coast.
Yeah.
Redwoods, drop down into the ocean, and it's just this beautiful, magical place, like a massive like grove of redwoods.
Yeah, maybe we'll hit that up.
Jenner's awesome.
You know what? Like, so this week I've been geeking out on some summer plans. You want to hear about it?
Yeah.
All right. So it's very pedestrian, very suburban. All right. It's not what you're thinking.
Okay.
So I want to get a setup where I have like a badass wagon, because I live 2 blocks from my favorite park. It's called the Shire, right? Yep. You've been there.
Yep.
We call it the Shire. So I want to set up like a summer, like kind of like a go bag, like you want to bust out of your house and like go, but I'm going 2 blocks. So I want to get like a wagon. I want to get like some lawn chairs, like a little grill. I basically want to go like day camping in my local park, maybe a little rogue, because you're not supposed to like cook out and day camp. I think we're talking about this a little bit, but
let's just be renegades.
I want to go like big places and, leave the country and all that stuff. But I'm thinking like hyper local this summer, like weekends at the park.
I love that. I'll be there.
Friends and family, right?
I'll be there. I'll bring the
you're
fish
gonna be there
to grill.
And I'm going to be friends with your dog this summer.
Yeah, that sounds great, man. I'm in. I absolutely love the Shire and our new relationship. It's freaking awesome.
And I love it because you show up at that place. It's like the what's that term? The third place in your life. So you got your work, your house, your work, and then you need a third spot. So the third spot, and I'm butchering it, it's like a phrase, but like it could be a coffee shop, a restaurant.
Yep.
But it's the park, man. Every time we go there, you guaranteed to see a friend or someone you know. And it's like community, right? It's like instant community, which is so fun.
Yeah.
And that helps me, I guess, personally, and my family, I'll speak on their behalf, but like bust out of the day to day.
Yeah.
You're outside and you're hanging with friends.
I'm really grateful to live in this area because the parks here are just phenomenal. And
they're
the
killer.
community, like you said, is amazing. And there's lots of families and it's very pedestrian friendly and, super duper grateful. And like really grateful that you took the time today to come out and meet with me and chat a little bit about life. Yeah, man. So I think we're going to wrap up.
Nice.
Thanks for being here, Nic.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it. Another episode of the Wealth and Wellness Report. Do stay tuned for episode 4. And thanks so much for being here.